Good evening and welcome once again to the Voice of the Coast. Several new traffic laws that you're going to be very interested in or very much needing to be aware of have gone into effect this month. Public Information Officer Trooper First Class Peggy Bourque from Troop I, Louisiana State Police, is here to talk about those, and we appreciate your time coming in.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me.
The big one that everybody wants clarification on and understanding how it's going to work is the new left lane law.
In Louisiana. So on August 1st, it went into effect. The left lane is a passing lane in Louisiana. That is to work on those who are maybe camping out in that left lane, impeding traffic, not allowing others around them. You use that left lane, you pass that person you're going ahead of, and you get back into that right lane. If it's a 3-lane highway, that one furthest to the left, that's going to be our passing lane. So again, you get in that left lane, that furthest to the left, you go ahead and pass, and you get back in the right lane, and you go ahead and move forward.
And that's a good thing to keep in mind for local drivers. Mostly we're 2 lanes around here, but you get to Lafayette, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, you do have 3 lanes to work with. So the new, in those situations, that new law only applies to the furthest lane to the left.
To the furthest lane to the left,
Right.
Yes, sir. So we are just looking to discourage those incidents that may occur with whether it be road rage or just impeding that flow of traffic, and then crashes occur because everybody's slamming on their brakes because that one person is just camping out in that left lane and not wanting to move.
Now, how do you, when do you decide when you're watching somebody, all right, this guy's abusing the left lane now? You know, how do
I think it's pretty easy to tell. We've all been in that situation, not just, you know, in the enforcement side of things, but just driving around with our families when you've got that one person that just refuses to move, and you see those people starting to go around them, and you got one person, number 1 goes, number 2, number 3, and so on and so forth, and that person is just there.
That's so annoying to be the one car behind the guy who's slow in the right lane, and everybody's pulling up behind you
and going correct, and that can cause crashes if you're not using that left lane properly, and everybody's going around in the right lane to try to pass that person in the left lane. That's when that congestion happens, and we start seeing more crashes occur because of things like that.
Right, and that's an interesting reason for doing this that you mentioned beforehand. A lot of this is to try to calm down road rage.
Correct. You see it all the time, unfortunately, and that's one thing that we want to try to avoid if at all possible.
Does enforcement change, or are you kind of thinking about things different when the traffic is higher? You know, you get the higher
populated areas.
Yeah, you get the higher, not just higher populated areas, but more of the traffic times a day. You're in the rush hour, 5 o'clock. You kind of, it's hard not to avoid getting in that left lane and staying in that left lane.
Right. In situations like that, we do use our judgment, right? We do have discretion, and we can obviously see if someone is there because they are just not wanting to move, or because it's necessary for traffic to flow.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you'll feel about answering this question, but you know, everybody kind of has that feeling. You know, 55, as far as getting stopped, 55 really means 60 or 62, whatever it is. You know, depending on where you are. But when you're in a situation where just the natural flow of traffic, everybody's going 7-8 mile an hour over the speed limit, how is an officer likely to handle that? Are you just gonna kind of make sure everybody's, so long as nobody's taking chances, you kind of let it go, or do you kind of, you know, say, you know what, I can't catch every fish in the pond, but I can catch one?
So in that situation, the law is not made to encourage people to speed by any means. It's a passing lane, right?
Yeah.
So we want it's there to encourage the flow of traffic to move smoothly. So whatever it is that causes that flow of traffic to go smoothly, that's what we'd like to see.
And I've seen a lot of people talking about the idea of 1 mile an hour too slow. We're talking about in the left lane. Are you looking for people to be timely as far as getting in and out of the lane? What constitutes when you're blocking the lane?
Correct. So in that situation, again, it is that one person that is blocking that lane and just sitting there and has been there for a couple of minutes, and it's obvious that they're not moving. We're not trying to issue tickets for someone going 1 mile under the speed limit.
Oh, okay. All right. Tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more of Voice of the Coast. Stay with us. Welcome once again to Voice of the Coast. We have the Public Information Officer for Louisiana State Police Troop I, Trooper First Class Peggy Bourque, with us talking about the new traffic laws that have gone into effect. Now, we've been talking about the left lane law, and that is a primary law. Two other things going on are actually secondary laws. And let's talk about the changes to hands-free law. We're talking about use of cellular devices. How has that changed?
The hands-free devices in your vehicle, it's always been a thing, especially in construction zones and school zones. We're not going to have our phones. You see it on the stop sign, on the speed limit signs, the hands-free zones. So that's not going to change in our school zone and our construction zone. It is actually a primary offense in those sections, in those areas, the construction zone or a school zone. So you can get stopped for that primary offense, having that phone in your hand. But when you are going out onto the regular highway, now with the new amendment to the law, and you've got your cell phone in your hand, it is now a secondary offense. So you'll have to be doing something other than just being on your cell phone, but it is illegal. And we want to focus on that distracted aspect of driving. We're trying to get out of the habit of when you're passing somebody, you see somebody scrolling on their cell phone or watching Netflix or whatever while they're driving on their morning commute.
And that happens.
It happens. And that's what we're trying to curb with the amendment to this law, and make sure that people understand the seriousness of distracted driving and how it can affect the decisions that they make and the crashes that occur.
Yeah, and driving is such a thing. I think about the left lane law we're talking about now. I think about what you're talking about scrolling, and it's so easy to just get yourself distracted and do these things. I caught myself camped out in the left lane yesterday. See, hey, I'm not supposed to be over here. It's so easy to do this, and this is really all geared at trying to get you to pay 100% attention to driving.
More attention to the road, absolutely. We do it all the time with our kids in the sudden impact course that we teach all the time, and it's pay attention to the task at hand.
How does this apply to people that have their phones mounted on their dashboard?
The phone can be mounted on the dashboard. We are not going to stop you if your phone is mounted on the dashboard and you're using it for GPS or whatever, or you've got it on speakerphone and you're talking on the phone. That's still in a hands-free capacity, so it's not gonna change anything for them.
Just don't be watching Netflix.
Correct.
Okay, and the other thing we wanted to talk about was window tinting. How has that changed?
So our window tinting it is actually now 25% all the way around. What has stayed the same is that we are not going to be tinting windshields all the way down. You see that all the time, people trying to tint their windshields all the way down. You go down to that AS1 mark or 5 inches, whichever comes first. And you can do the brow on the windshield, but otherwise you want to make it sure it's 25% light all the way around.
And how do you determine it? Now, obviously, you said it's a secondary offense, which means you don't have to stop somebody, look at somebody on the fly and say, hey, that person's windows are too dark. But when you have somebody pulled over, how do you determine just what the window tinting is and whether or not it's illegal?
We actually have tint meters, and you can eyeball it and see whether or not it's legal or not. But we do have tint meters that we can use for that. And you can pull somebody over specifically for a tint. It is not a secondary offense. Offense. It's a primary offense.
Okay, I apologize on that. Primary offense for window tinting. And also, it should mention real quick that I think the fines on these things, where the fines are going to change or get more strict, that doesn't happen until January.
Yeah, so starting August 1st, you're going to start getting warnings as far as the left lane goes, as far as the hands-free, not in school zones, you will still get given a citation for that. But once you get to January 1st, that's when we're going to start issuing out citations.
Okay.
So you got a grace period from August to January where
All
you
right.
can.
Okay. So you got a little time to get yourself in gear of this. Like we said, start paying attention to these things. Stay out of that left lane unless you absolutely need to be there. And if you're somebody who drives around, I think Texas, we were talking about this before, Texas left lane law is roughly the same, but it's a little different in Mississippi. So if you're driving through Mississippi, Alabama, you want to take a look at that before you get there and make sure that you're doing the same thing. We appreciate your time coming in. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next time on Voice of the Coast. Have a great day.